I'm Matt Crowley with Venture Capital Press, and today we're going to talk about hiring consultants for your startup and what that looks like. In one of our prior videos, we talked about the difference between employees and independent contractors, and I would strongly encourage you to watch that video so that you're thinking about consultants in the right way. This video assumes that you've already watched that video and that you've decided that what you really need is support on preparing a particular software widget, a piece of code that you need done, or a part of your website built, maybe getting some PR help, maybe marketing help. So we really do not want to hire this firm or this person as an employee. We really want them to be a consultant. So how do you build out that relationship? So first thing you ought to do, and big surprise a lawyer is telling you to do this, you really ought to get everything in writing on what it is that the consultant's doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, and how much we're paying them for doing it. So the basics of a consulting agreement would make it clear that our company is the client. Either it's Matt Crowley or Crowley Consulting LLC, whatever the correct legal party is, would be the consultant. And then we're going to want to lay out a few basic things in the consulting agreement. And usually a lawyer will do this for you. Be very careful using templates. If you don't understand the language, it's what looks like simple terms could bite you. That being said, we should talk about what services are going to get performed. So that would usually go at the back of the agreement, usually in a separate document called a statement of work or a SOW. SOW, statement of work. And the SOW would tell me that we're going to hire Julie Smith. She's going to, between the start date of January 1st, 2018, with an end date of March 30th, 2018, she's going to do the following items in 6 bullets. And she's going to provide me with a wireframe for my website. She's going to provide me with a couple examples of a logo that we could use on the website. She'll draft some content. She'll do a couple other things. Those are her obligations. Those are the services she's going to perform. We want to make that as quantitative as we can. So not she'll do a logo and we'll like it. It should be she'll provide me with 3 different types of logos, and then I'll select one of those. And that's fair because that's the price I'm paying. I would pay a higher price if I wanted 20 different logos to look at. We'll also put in what our obligations are as the person hiring the consultant. So normally a consultant will want you to promise them, hey, if I give you 3 logos in a PDF, I really want you to look at them and don't let it sit on your desk for a month because I'd like to get paid. So normally the consultant will request, and it's fair to ask, that within 5 business days after you've received whatever the deliverable is, that you'll either approve it, or if you say nothing, that's viewed as the equivalent of approval so they can get their money. So you'll want to look at your obligations as well as theirs. Then we've got the start date and the end date, and then there's the compensation section. So are we paying this person hourly? If we are, as the buyer of the services, we'd like there to be a cap on this thing. So she can't go off and come back a week later and say she spent 120 hours on the project. My God, all we wanted was a couple of logos. So we would like to know she's going to spend no more than 3 hours working on the logos at $100 an hour. Now we have a pretty good idea what we're paying for. Now, some consultants are going to have expenses. So if we have somebody who is providing public relations service with us, trying to get us interviews, maybe she's going to have to do a little bit of travel. Maybe she's going to go to DC to lobby the head of the Washington Post to interview us. And we approve that. So we would like to have a section that says if there are expenses, there's a cap, can't exceed more than X $100 unless we approve it before she spends the money. So pre-approval in writing. Those are all good tricks of the trade when it comes to setting up a consulting agreement. In the body of the agreement, virtually always there's going to be some kind of intellectual property involved with whatever you have a consultant doing. Now, it's really obvious in the world of software. If I have a coder working on my software program, the code is the intellectual property. As the buyer of the services, I want to make sure I own that code. What I would not want to do is to pay Steve Smith to design a new library database for me, and then after I make $1 million in revenue, he comes back and says, I would like some more money. And you say, why would that be? And he says, well, you're using my code and I would like a royalty. You should pay me a license fee. That would be a terrible day. So a consulting agreement ought to have a section that says whatever work the consultant is doing, that work product, the deliverables, is owned by my company, not the consultant. Now, a smart consultant will be doing lots of work, and they may have templates that they're using. So they like to design web pages a certain way, and they use the same modules every time they do it. It's okay for the consultant to own the templates, to own the modules, but what they specifically built for our company, that we should own, no questions asked, no royalties. We aren't licensing it from them. We just own it outright. That's critically important when you're working with a consultant. Same thing if they're providing financial advice or they're providing some other thing. If they've come up with a nifty thing and we ask them to build it, in fairness, we ought to own it. We paid for it. Another thing that goes in a consulting agreement is a confidentiality clause. So you're going to be opening the kimono, allowing the consultant to meet your people, to see how you do your work in order for them to do a good job on whatever they're providing by way of services. We would like them to keep all of that quiet unless we make it public ourselves. So if we want them to do work related to a press release on the new contract we just signed with Chevron, well, it would be kind of stupid for us to tell the consultant, you can't tell anyone that Chevron's our customer, because that's the whole point of the job they're doing. So some common sense has to come into play. But if we have somebody that's providing us coding assistance, then we don't want them talking about who our customers are. They have no business doing that. They have no business talking about what we pay our people or what our rates are, unless it's up on our website. So the confidentiality section is important too. Another thing that sometimes people don't think about with consultants is if I hire Steve Smith to do the coding, what I don't want to have happen is to find out that Steve Smith posted my coding job on Craigslist, and now Susie Jones is actually doing the coding. She provides the code to Steve Smith, who hands it to me. Hey, wait a minute. I hired Steve Smith because I really liked his background and I figured he would do a great job. I don't know who Susie Jones is. So we don't want our consultant having the ability to use subcontractors or to assign the consulting agreement to someone else without at least telling us and preferably getting our permission. So if you cover those items, you may not necessarily have a perfect consulting agreement, but at least you know that 80% of the big picture items you'll have covered. I hope this was helpful and that you enjoy our other videos. Thank you.